have a fantastic new set of images to play with. And let's start working with Amanda Diaz, her recent release, which is her Wonderland actions and textures. So what we're gonna do is, first of all, this image has a basic edit to it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up one of her actions, not her actions, I'm sorry, one of her new textures. And she's got some beautiful ones here. So let's just take a look at them right here. There's some beautiful ones. Ooh, I like that one. Let's try that one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this and paste it right here. Alrighty, so we're going to transform and add it there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to head to the layers palette here, and I like to work either in multiply or screen typically. Ooh, kind of like the look of that. Let's see what multiply looks like with, and that's kind of neat too. Let's try to lighten. The great thing with these textures is you get to play with them and try them. Ooh, that's gnarly. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it as screen, because if we're kind of going with the Winter Wonderland action palette, this kind of gives kind of the cool wintry type of look anyway. So let's do that. So I'm gonna go up and in the layers area here, I'm going to add a layer mask so that I can remove the texture slightly from her skin. And I'm just going to do a very basic way of doing this. There's a number of different ways you can do it. As you can see, there's not really a whole lot of texture on her, so it's really not that big a deal. But because we've got white right here, we need to paint with black. Then that way it removes that texturing from her face and things. So I'm going to remove it about 40%, just a little bit like this, just to help her kind of punch through just a little bit. And honestly, that's about all you need. So I'm going to flatten. Okay, now I'm going to save this as just an extra copy. I'm highly technical this way. So let's go. Then that way, now let's head over to the actions, which are super awesome. Okay, so here we go. We are going to look at Frosted. Let's check this out, guys. Frosted. Ooh, super cool. Okay, so the great thing with her actions is if you head over to the layers area here, look at how this all comes together and looks. So you can totally customize, and every time you open one of the action sets, you use them, come in and play with the layers to completely customize that action for each different image. So every time you use it, it can be slightly different. So see how this one just gives kind of a nice kind of a soft emulsion kind of looking, and really plays with those low light areas. I kind of like it like that. Now in here, this is playing with the color. So you can play with it any way you want. You can turn it back on, click on it, and head up in here into the opacity area. Now you can play with the opacity of this and totally customize it to the way that you like it. Now this one here, no, I kind of like that one just the way it is. Ooh, I kind of like that. I'm going to leave this one off. So as you can see, pressing that button, using this action, you have got a number of different ways of doing it. Personally, I'm going to leave those two off and just keep these two layers right here. I like the way that that looks. Okay, so I'm just going to revert it back to where it was, and let's try another action. The next one is icy. Let's check out icy. See what it gives me. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Okay, now let's head over into the layers. And let's take these off. Okay, now let's click on here again. Oh, that kind of gives a nice muted look to it. The hue saturation. This one, kind of a cooler, greener undertone. Gradient on the bottom, which is super cool. And selective color. Okay, so I'm going to turn all these back on again. And let's see what it looks like without the gradient. I kind of like that. So, but maybe let's just, for the sake of doing it, let's just try seeing what that looks like, just muted down just a little bit. That looks pretty neat. Kind of like the cooler tone with this one. So that is icy. So once again, you can go in and play with all those different little layers in there, completely make that action your own. Alrighty, let's check out Cold Heart. Ooh, I like that one too. Okay, so let's play in the layers. Oh, that looks really neat. Okay, so that looks awesome. I just like to be able to see kind of what each layer does to the image. Then that way you know how that layer is interacting with the image to give a different or overall look. And they all kind of have a different look or feel to it. Kind of like, I'm kind of a contrasty girl. Ooh, I like this one. So I like this one. Oh, that's neat. That kind of gives kind of a cool wintry look. That looks awesome. That's a little bit too light. But once again, remember you can go in and change the opacities and things. So that is, what do we have that one on? That is Cold Heart. And yes, that definitely gives you that feel, doesn't it? Okay, next one. Let's go in here and play with Shivers. Oh, that's soft and beautiful. I like that. Alrighty, let's go in and once again and play with all these beautiful little layers that Amanda has set up for us to play with. So that one gives a beautiful soft light. A little bit of a matte. Punches up the contrast. Oh, I like that. Hue saturation, so it just dulls it down just a little bit. Softens that color. And that's a selective color. Color fill. And then this one. So I kind of like this one. What was it? That one. I like that. So you can see how many layers are in here. And I just kind of like the look of those two. Because that's a little too much for me for this image. That's kind of neat as well. I kind of like those, a little bit of depth in the low light area though. That's kind of neat too. So let's revert this one back to the original and go check out another one. So that one was Shivers. Now this one's called Frozen in Time. Oh, Amanda, this one's awesome. Okay, now what I noticed with this one is this light area up in here, which is really cool. So once again, let's go in here and play with these different little layers. So you can see then that one is that light area there. Color, there we go. Okay, so this one cools things down. This one kind of mattes things out. This one is the light. So already I know that I don't necessarily want the light right there. So this is really easy, and a lot of people don't know this. This little fantastic little box here, all you have to do is double click it on there. You get this little box that comes up. Simple thing is now you take that little light layer and you can move it anywhere you want. So if you look at the shadows in her face and things like that, things are kind of coming off this way. See the shadow under here. So I would say the light, based on, look at the curve of her arm and where the light should be. So in this image here, I kind of like it up here because then it matches the light in here and things. And then you just press OK, and now it's up there. Really simple. So we can leave that one on because it's just a light source. So that one kind of lightens things up. Oh, really pretty, Amanda. You're awesome. Okay, so then that one was Frozen in Time. Okay, so let's head into Crisp Air. Oh, okay, so now to me it's looking like we've got two little flares going that way. Yeah, right there. So there's one, there's two. So, I mean, you could do a little bit or you could do a lot. Now this one's kind of got some interesting color twists in it, which is really neat. So let's remove all of these and play with them again. Oh, I love that little soft color there. I love these two. Oh, that looks really neat. Okay. So lots of different things you can do with this one. Let's go and check out the next one. Numb. And as a Canadian, yes, it is that time of year. Alrighty. Let's take all these little layers off. Okay, playtime. Ooh, that's a really neat look. So if we go in here, we can always play with these little layers in here, right? So please remember that. And the cool thing is you can always go in here and play with that layer, right? So if you want that there, you can always do lighten, which is maybe a little bit too light. Screen, overlay. So there's a bazillion things that you can do. We'll put it back at normal just so we can see how these actions are playing on the image at the moment, or these layers within the end. And oh, they're just beautiful. Amanda is a brilliant woman. And there, oh, I love that. Oh, that's a little too much. Ah, see, that's really neat. Okay, so let's keep on playing here. Let's head into Winter Wonder. Ah, I like that. That's really neat. Okay, let's head into the layers. Take them all off. Now, honestly, you can just play an action and be done with it. Flatten it, you're done. Next image, or, you know, whatever you're going to do with it and play with it. But I'm just going through this process, doing it this way to kind of show you what all the different layers can do and the fun that you can have customizing them and making them your own. Because unless you go in and play with these little layers in here, you're not getting the full use out of these actions. They're really customizable. You can save, make the adjustments you want and then save that action that way if you so chose as well, so that you have a consistent look within your images based on the customization that you want with that action. So pretty straightforward, pretty darn cool. So let's, for the sake of this, let's put all these fantastic layers back on. That looks really neat. So I'm going to revert. And I think the one that I wanted to go with, I think it was, pretty sure it was the Shivers here. No, maybe it was the Frozen in Time. Yeah, love this. So once again, I kind of like it just the way it is. I'm going to go in and move that sun again just so it matches the light source on her body. I'm gonna go like this, and this one's at 100%. Kind of like this. So let's go in here. I want to just lighten things up just a bit. I like that. That's really nice. And I want a little bit kind of more muted colors. Let's maybe just add in just a little touch of that. Just a little touch. Love that. So I'm going to flatten up because I like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is, since we are talking about a winter image, that I want to kind of turn it into a winter image, let's go in and add some snow. Now, with Amanda's new actions and things here, we can add some light source. We can add some, it's up here. Here we go. We can add some snow. So look at all these great different snow layers you can add. Lots of different options this way. I kind of like, where's that swirl? This one. So let's go in and add this one. Okay. So I'm gonna put the marquee around the whole thing. I'm gonna do a Command C for copy. And let's do Command V. I'm on a Mac, so otherwise it's Control. And I'm going to transform this little beautiful layer onto here. Now, the light source is coming from up here, so see how the snow's kind of coming across this way? So I'm just going to add it that way to the image. I'm going to click OK. And because this is kind of has a black background, it's going to transfer beautifully if I go to screen. And there's the snow. You can kind of see it in there. Now let's see what overlay looks like. Soft light. Oh, that's kind of funky. Multiply. No, definitely not. So let's go with screen. And maybe if you want it a little bit more pronounced, we can always double up that layer. And there it is. That looks awesome. Now, the one thing that you also need to do is to get rid of some of those snowflakes on her. So I'm going to hold down my Command key, and I'm going to link these layers. Actually, let's just merge them. And then switch them to screen. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is you can go out, you can either just use the erase and erase it off of her, but it's always just a little easier because if you go too far and you oops, then kind of harder to go back. So let's just do a layer mask, really simple. It's going to allow us to paint in or take off that snow layer. So I'm going to do reveal all. Once again, it's white. So we're going to paint with black. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And then at about 40%, I'm just going to erase that snow in there just a little bit. And around the neck, we don't want her to look like she's got white spots everywhere. Now you got to be careful. You don't want to remove too much because then it's going to look like she's actually not really out there. But just something like that's good. Yeah. Should go a little one right there. So there you go. So now I'm going to flatten that one. You can always go into your levels and you can just give it a little bit of a extra little kick for a snowy look. And there's Amanda's beautiful creations of her new actions, as well as her textures and her snow. So let's see what the before looked like. There's the before. There's the after. Quite the transformation, right? Summer to winter. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and have fun using all of these new tools.